One day, Jake's life changes forever when his dad calls and asks him to take medicine to his grandpa. A coworker offers to drive him. When they finally get there, Jake realizes someone has broken into his grandpa's house and starts to worry. His coworker tells him not to stress because she has a 38 in her car.
Someone broke in!
I got a 38 in my car, you wait there.
Jake starts looking for his grandpa and finds him, but he's dead and missing his eyes. To make things even more intense, Jake hears a strange noise and sees something hiding among the trees. His coworker, armed with her 38, starts shooting. But guess what? There's nothing there but trees and silence. A month later, Jake is in therapy because everyone thinks he's now delusional for seeing things. He tells his psychiatrist that when he was a kid, his grandpa used to tell him stories with photos about peculiar children living on an island in Wales, in a place with someone named Peregrine. Jake then becomes obsessed with going there. His psychiatrist, who's really cool, convinces his parents that it's the best way for him to deal with his grief.
Having an opportunity to see this children's home may be helpful.
So, Jake and his dad take a ferry to the island. On the way, they see a peregrine falcon, and Jake jokingly talks to it as if it were Miss Peregrine.
Maybe that's really her. Hey, Miss Peregrine! It's me, Jake!
But his dad, who has no sense of humor, looks at him like he's crazy.
Oh my god, Dad, I'm kidding.
When they arrive at the only hotel on the island, you'd think his dad would take Jake to the children's home, but no. He says there's no way he's indulging his crazy son's whims.
Well, I could go to the home by myself, and you can really take your time.
So he pays some local kids to take Jake there instead.
I was just wondering if any of you guys might be interested in taking my son here to the other side of the island.
These two guys, who claim to be the best rappers in Wales,
We're the sickest rappers in Wales.
and are actually the only rappers in Wales, take Jake to the children's home. But since they're arrogant jerks, they just make fun of him and leave him on his own.
Is this even the way to the children's home?
Right through those trees.
Luckily, Jake eventually finds the children's home, but it's not what he expected. It's completely devastated and destroyed. Back at the hotel, he talks to the guy in the wheelchair, who tells him that the house has been in ruins since September 3rd, 1943, and that no one survived the bomb that was dropped there, so they're all very much dead.
German air raid, bomb fell right on the roof. September the 3rd, 1943. Not one survivor.
The next day, Jake goes back to the abandoned house. While exploring it, he realizes he's being watched by the children who were supposedly dead. He gets scared, runs, hits his head, and passes out. When he wakes up, he finds himself with his grandpa's old friends. They invite him into their loop to meet Miss Peregrine and get the answers he's been searching for.
Miss Peregrine's waiting. She saw you on the ferry. She sent us to get you.
But once again, he freaks out and bolts trying to find his hotel.
Run.
Now that he's in another loop and another time, it's not a hotel anymore. It's some kind of pub, and everyone gives him weird looks. Then, Millard, the invisible kid, shows up and starts throwing stuff around like Matilda. And Olive, the fire girl, sets the pub on fire. When they finally reach the children's home, Jake sees that the rundown house he saw before is now all spruced up. At the door, he meets Miss Peregrine, who's really smart and can turn into a bird and mess with time.
Right on time. Miss Peregrine, delighted to meet you.
That's why they're all still young after so many years. Later, Miss Peregrine gives him a tour of the house and introduces him to some of the kids. There's Fiona, who can manipulate vegetation and trees however she likes. The twins who have a big secret and always wear suits that cover their entire bodies because they're so beautiful. Oh, and there's also Claire, a sweet and adorable girl who has a second mouth on the back of her head.
This is Claire.
Hugh is the boy with bees inside his body.
Stop cheating, Hugh!
Horace can turn into a movie projector to show everyone his dreams and predictions of the future.
Good afternoon. I'm Horace. Delighted to meet you.
Emma can control the wind and is lighter than air. And then there's Enoch, who looks like the creepy kid from Toy Story, because his peculiarity is that he can bring inanimate objects to life and make them fight to the death. Everyone, but Enoch, really likes Jake and even asks him to stay for dinner and forever in the house.
Don't you want to stay, Jake?
Night? or...
Forever! You should say forever!
Although Enoch comments that it won't matter because he knows Jake will leave just like his grandpa did a long time ago.
He can live out there, grow older, have a good time instead. He'll leave, just like his grandfather did.
Anyway, they finish dinner and go watch a movie about the future, sponsored by Horace. He projects a scene where Jake and Emma are about to kiss, so things get pretty intense. But Miss Peregrine, being a party pooper, ruins everything.
Quite enough of that, thank you, Horace.
Near the end of the night, Jake stays to watch the reset, which is basically when Miss Peggy returns in time with her magic because if she doesn't, a bomb will fall on the house, and she has to do that forever and ever.
Run, rabbit, run, rabbit. So run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run.
When Jake has to leave, Emma decides to walk him to the exit of the loop. The next day, Jake decides to read the letter he stole from Miss Peregrine, which warns of nearby enemies and advises everyone to stay safe. Now he wants to go back to the loop to ask Miss Peregrine about the letter. He sneaks out while his father is asleep, but when Miss Peregrine arrives, instead of explaining everything, she gets angry and leaves him alone.
That was a private letter, Jake. Unless essential, I don't discuss unpleasant matters.
But then Enoch shows up, and he's quite the gossip who can't keep anything to himself, so he tells Jake the truth. They show Jake a boy who also had no eyes, killed by the creatures he saw in the forest the other day.
Hello, Jake. I'm Victor. Do you want to know what killed me?
Jake panics again and runs off. Miss Peregrine then tells them to prepare because they're all going on a tour. Along the way, Jake asks Emma if she knows what happened to the boy because his grandfather also had his eyes taken out. She tells him to follow her, and they head to a lake where she pretends to drown. Jake jumps in to rescue her. Finally, a gesture of bravery. But then he realizes she did it on purpose to lead him to her hideout, an old sunken ship. Emma shows him a bunch of photos and identifies his grandfather's killer.
That's him. That's the man I saw.
Barron. He's the leader.
She reveals to Jake that his grandfather wasn't actually going to war, but was a hollow hunter who traveled from loop to loop.
Abe took lives to save lives. He only retired when you were born to protect you.
Finally, Emma tells Jake that he's also peculiar, meaning he also has weird superpowers.
You belong here.
You know I don't. I'm not like you.
Jake, only a peculiar can enter a time loop.
To prove it, they go to where Miss Peregrine is, and she shoots a creature emerging from the water. Emma tells Jake that only he can see them because they're invisible, and that's his peculiarity.
You can see it, can't you? It's invisible, Jake. That was Abe's greatest gift of all.
Peregrine tells him the rest, and shows him a book about the Hollows. She explains that these slender man-like creatures invade loops to eat children's eyes, so they can return to their human form, though with very ugly eyes.
Bon appetit.
She says they're now trying to conduct an experiment for eternal life using magic, without the need for loops, because they hate that. Then, Miss Avocet appears and says, a group of Hollows invaded her loop and ate everyone except her. Emma asks Jake to please stay with them, because he's the only one who can see the Hollows, but he doesn't want to leave his family in the other world, even though they seem to hate him.
I can't just leave. I have a family.
And you felt ordinary. Jake, we're in danger, and you're the only one who can see the Hollows.
Jake returns to his time and finds his father, who scolds him. Later, he comes across a corpse, which turns out to be the paralyzed old man from the hotel, and everyone sees him as the murderer. He panics and runs back to the loop to warn Peregrine what happened. But a strange guy follows him, who turns out to be his grandfather's killer, Mr. Barron, a wicked peculiar with the ability to shapeshift, and thanks to Jake, now he knows where the children's loop is.
Let's be on our way, shall we?
Meanwhile, everyone was packing their bags, ready to leave. But then Jake arrives, held hostage by Mr. Barron. He forces Peregrine to turn into a bird and locks her in a cage so he can take her away, while the children are locked in a room awaiting a hollow to devour them. But since Miss Avocet wasn't taken because she was hiding like a complete chicken, she takes charge.
Right, children. Make sure all the doors are locked and the windows are latched. Everything must be sealed up tight. Now quickly.
and assures them not to worry, saying she'll protect them as she did with her own children who were devoured by hollows. But as she speaks, a hollow attacks her from behind, gouging out her eyes. Now everyone panics, thinking they're doomed, but then good old Jake grabs the gun and starts shooting. Everyone runs and reaches a window. Fiona tries to grow a tree branch to escape the house before the bomb drops, because now that Miss Peregrine is gone, there'll be no one to reset the loop. The loop will close forever.
What's that?
The loop closing. It's gone.
Then everyone decides to rescue Miss Peregrine. If they hurry, they can enter Miss Avocet's loop and reach Jake's present year, 2016, where Mr. Barron took Miss Peregrine. So, everyone executes their plan, which involves first getting rid of the hollows and then killing Mr. Barron. Hollows start chasing them, and the children do the best they can, knowing they have superpowers, by throwing snowballs and cotton candy. Enoch, who's a bit smarter, jumps into action and brings all the skeletons on the ship to life so they can fight. Once they finish off the first part of the plan, they go after Mr. Barron again. He tries to make a deal, offering them eternal life without living in a loop if they let him do his experiment. Emma, desperate, starts blowing at Mr. Barron to stop him from reaching them. Meanwhile, he threatens to kill them all and complains she needs a breath mint.
It'll all be over. Death for your beloved Jake and Miss Peregrine. You. And a mint for you.
As Barron starts breaking down the door where they are, Jake sets them free.
Please, we can't risk him taking you again.
Barron gets furious, and just before he can hurt Jake, they all manage to enter. But now they see there's an imposter among them, because two Jakes appear. However, since they didn't know a hollow was inside, and only the real Jake can see it, the fake Jake ends up getting his eyes eaten by the hollow.
I can see the monsters.
Finally, everyone leaves as the loop is closing, and they all have to return to their time. Emma tells Jake that she understands he loves his grandfather, and that's why he has to stay.
Emma.
You love your grandfather. There's nothing more to explain. We don't need you to make us feel safe, Jake. You made us feel brave. And that's even better.
When Jake arrives at his grandfather's house, who is no longer dead due to all the time travel, Abe gives him a map showing all the loops in the world, along with a bunch of money in different currencies. He tells him to go find the love of his life. Though he doesn't know where they are now, he knows where they've been. So, Jake travels from loop to reunite with his beloved Emma. Who is surprised to see him, and finally kisses him.
I'm trying to...
And they all live happily ever after, in a loop forever. Oh, this is indeed a good love story. And that's it for today. If you enjoy movie recaps, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. See you at the next movie.